for the button on Instagram to let us know. We are live on Facebook. I was going to say, please do not swear, but you're on my channel. You can do whatever the hell you like. Hello, everyone. Let us know if you're watching live. Let us know if you're watching on replay. We should be live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, but let's just see if it's working. So if you are watching live and you can see and hear me, let me know. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Heidi Maver. I'm the founder of EOTAS Matters, and part of my work is supporting parents and carers of neurodivergent households. So I bring people to share their expertise with you, and tonight I'm bringing to you the lovely Jenny Lucas. Hurrah! Round of applause for Jenny. Yay! So I could ramble on and do a really good job of telling people all about you, Jenny, but it's better if you do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go and share this in various places. So do you want to just tell us a little bit of your background and what it is that you do whilst I'm pressing buttons on the other end?
Amazing. Thank you, Heidi, for that lovely introduction. So I'm Jenny. I am actually a former secondary school teacher of 16 years. I know I don't look old enough to have been in the teaching world for that long. But I spent quite a lot of that career. I was a secondary music teacher, and I spent quite a lot of that career also focusing on pastoral. I had a real pull between the music side of my work and the pastoral side. And I was a head of year, head of house, and I really enjoyed being able to have that impact with young people and see what was going on in their worlds. And that has led me on to coming out of teaching and doing various different qualifications in coaching, because what I realised I loved about the teaching was being able to have those impactful conversations with people and being able to mirror back people's experiences to them and help them see things in a different light and watch them have those light bulb moments. Like, that was probably my favourite thing about teaching, is watching young people go, oh, I've never thought of it like that before. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to bring more of that into my life. And go into coaching. And alongside the sort of end of my teaching career, if you like, this transition period, I also discovered my own neurodiversity. So I am a late diagnosed AuDHDer, ADHD first, and then the autism diagnosis came tumbling along a couple of months afterwards. And so at the age of 37, as I was at the time, that was a bit of a shocker, to be honest, given that a few years before that, my sort of neurodiversity had never really been even remotely on the horizon. And like so many of us, it was through my children and their sort of struggles at school and things that led me to be a bit reflective. And then it's a funny way the world works, isn't it? You start to pick up things in the media and online about, you know, how ADHD shows up in women and how autism shows up in women. And I actually felt quite embarrassed for a while because I hadn't picked up on the signs. I was a teacher. I had been in education for a long time. Surely I knew what a SEND student looked like, what an autism diagnosis would look like in a young person, or an ADHD diagnosis. And I was completely and utterly bogged down by the stereotypes of ADHD as naughty boys and autism is usually a boys thing. Mm-hmm. So I was very quickly schooled, if you like. But I did spend quite a lot of time feeling like I should have known better, given that I had been a teacher for such a long time. And out of that was the completely upending your life sensation of finding out about your neurodiversity, tagged with a little bit of the start of perimenopause and all of the fun that brings. And suddenly, like, your life is totally turned upside down and you don't really know who you are as a person, and you're sort of reevaluating essentially every interaction you've ever had in your life to make it sort of fit with this new information. And found myself feeling quite lost for a while. And, you know, I chose to disclose at work, and they've been very helpful in what kind of support do you need, what accommodations do you need, and not being able to answer those questions because I didn't really know what my, you know, struggles were in terms of what they could support me with. And out of that, I've paired my coaching and qualifications, my teaching experience, and my lived experience of being a late diagnosed neurodivergent. And Autistically Me was then born out of that, because there are so many women in particular that are coming to these diagnoses late in life. You know, we're talking 35 plus, who find themselves in the same position. And you go to seek support. I did go to my GP with my report from my diagnoses, and he basically sat down. He was very honest, and he said, I don't have time to read this. There is no support for someone like you. They'll have given you a page of websites at the back. You can go and do your own exploration. And I know that is the experience for a lot of people out there. So I've created my own support systems now to be able to help other people so they feel a little bit less overwhelmed, hopefully, when they first find out about their neurodivergence.
Yeah. And in amongst all of that, you're coaching primarily women who are late identified ADHD. And are you where in the process are people coming to you? Like, are they coming to you when they think they might be neurodivergent? Are they coming to you when they're seeking a diagnosis after they've had a diagnosis? Is there a pattern for the kind of people that you're working with?
So it tends to be more people that have either had the diagnosis or not in the position to seek a diagnosis, but they're pretty certain that this is the thing that fits them and they identify with it. And they're in that position of, okay, I've got this information, now what the hell do I do? Like, what does this mean for me? Who does that mean that I am? I'm struggling in my sort of day-to-day now. That I certainly found for myself that when I started to think about masking or unmasking what parts of me were autistic, what parts of me were ADHD, and like trying to almost like redefine myself as a person and get to know myself as a person, that's when I needed the most support. And I'm finding that that's kind of where people are coming along at that point where they're like, right, I've got this information. What do I do with it? Like, how do I make this fit my life now? Make things make sense, I feel like. And it's all about supporting people to find that sort of post-discovery personality almost. That's not the right word that I want to use, but identity sort of after they've had this. That's it, after they've had this revelation.
I feel like that's a real pinch point for lots of us. Like when you were describing, you know, like you've realized that your children are neurodivergent, you've started learning about it, you've been on a bit of a deep dive because surprise, you're autistic. And and then you're like, oh, and then like you have a moment when like you have either a light bulb moment or the penny drops or just all kind of, I think a lot of us have that kind of like everything comes into focus and we're like, oh my God. And then when you layer into that perimenopause,
fun times.
Just like, oh, you know, like I think there's really interesting work to be done around exploring the impact that those hormonal changes have on neurodivergent people, both in puberty and in perimenopause and menopause, because they're two of the pinch points for those of us who are, you know, like those of us who have wombs, for example. I think there's definitely a pattern in there for sure. So
for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. And why do you do this? Like, so because this, I should imagine, is not particularly easy work. Why is this important to you?
Because I don't want other people to find themselves in the position that I did. You know, going to where I thought I could find support, and even at sort of where I am based in the southeast, we've got like an autism service, if you like. But again, it's not really geared towards people who have a life that looks like mine, people that have had a career, that have had a family. You know, the support services are not really in place to support people who are kind of just about making it through life. Do you know what I mean? They don't need sort of really high levels of support from that perspective. And that's a really lonely place to be. And particularly if this revelation has come to everybody in your life at the same time. So you're sort of floundering with this information. If you've got a partner, they're like, okay, what does that mean for who you are as a person now? And it may well be that you've got friends and family around about who are a bit kind of like, well, what does this mean? That is really, can be quite devastating, actually. And I want to make sure that people have got a place to go and a community that they can be a part of where they don't feel so lonely, where they start to see themselves in others and feel understood and validated for the feelings and the experiences that they are having. And ultimately, that people are then able to make the decision that they can make choices in their lives for them, that's not selfish, that actually finding out what your needs are and accommodating yourself is the best thing that you could do for yourself, and consequently all of the people in your life around about you as well, because you end up being a happier, more satisfied person.
Yeah, 100%. I think that thing that you were talking about then, with that piece of, you're the person that you probably know more about neurodivergence because on your way to discovering that you are neurodivergent, you've unpicked a lot of stuff. And then you start sharing with people around you I'm neurodivergent, and then you become like the educator. And so not only are you unpicking all your own stuff, you're like trying to navigate, like, what do I send to people? How do I tell people this, that, the other? How do I explain masking to people? How do I explain burnout to people? Like, how do I explain that I'm probably behaving a bit differently than what they're used to because I'm starting to unmask and I'm beginning to not put so much of a lid on some of the things because that's essential for me in terms of my mental health, and how do I cushion the blow for people around me when I start setting boundaries when I haven't ever set boundaries before? It's a big ask of a person in the middle of all of that, like, because the way you see yourself is shifting, but the way other people see you is shifting as well. And it's a big ask. And I think that having someone like you to support people through that process is really helpful. My dog's grumbling. I don't know why.
I wondered who that was.
It's not my tummy, it's the dog. I don't know why he's just decided to have a grumble, but he's all right. It's just like, he's just agreeing with us, Jenny. So I know that you've got lots of things in the pipeline. So let's talk a little bit about things that are coming up and things that you're doing. So first of all, if people need some support, what support do you currently offer? If someone's like, I like the sound of her, what can you offer people currently?
So at the moment, I've got some spaces for one-to-one coaching, which that's kind of an ad hoc needs as basis. In terms of how long that would last or what that looks like. I'm happy to have discussions with people about what they think that they might need. I'm also, I've got a wait list for a membership that I would like to open up to people later on this year, all about supporting those of us that have been late diagnosed. In fact, I've got some more information about that and that I will pull out to have a little look at. So it's called Reclaim Yourself. The AuDHD Women's Circle, and it's for people who are, like we've said, sort of in that process of redefining who they are as an individual and feeling a little bit lost. So I want to be able to open that up to as many people as possible. I know that not everybody is in the position to be able to afford, say, one-to-one coaching, but being able to access coaching in a group session and be in a membership where you can bring in experts about various different things and offer that to a lot more people is something that really appeals to me. I want to be able to offer that for as many people as possible. So I've got a wait list for that if people are interested in finding out more. I'm actually already in the process of writing a book. We've talked a little bit about that before. It is coming out on the 28th of October of this year, which means I've got to have written it by then. And it's all about supporting people again.
The ADHD will get in the driving seat. It'll get done, don't worry.
Exactly. It'll be a night before, but it'll be great. But it's all about supporting our late diagnosed people through that sort of, that I would say probably the first year to 18 months of post-diagnosis or post-discovery with a variety of different topics. So we've got self-love, we've got unmasking, we've got sensory sensitivities, all sorts of different bits and pieces that may be brand new information to people. And there's going to be a workbook that is going to come out alongside that as well to sort of be, if you can't afford the coaching, you can't afford the membership, you can sort of self-guide yourself through the book with a workbook that goes alongside it as well. So there's a few different options. And I host a monthly podcast called Autism, ADHD and Us 3, which is free, obviously, where I cover a whole load of different topics around being an AuDHD parent to AuDHD children and a whole variety of other things. So I did actually have a guest on this season talking about perimenopause and menopause and ADHD and the sort of links to why people appear more ADHD at this time of life and the sort of what's happening hormonally that can kick all that off. So some really interesting bits and pieces to have a listen to on there as well.
Amazing. And I know one of the things that you're really passionate about is helping particularly identified, assigned female at birth or socialized as female people to understand burnout and what that looks like, how that presents for those of us who have, come to the discovery late that we're neurodivergent. And you've got a freebie that people can access for that, haven't you? So can we talk a little bit about what that is and how people might use that?
Absolutely. So like you say, people that are assigned female at birth or socialized as female, we take on quite a lot of additional roles in life, don't we? In terms of there's a lot of expectation on us to run a household or be the primary caregiver in family situations and relationships. And with that comes a lot of extra mental load, which is often invisible and unseen to the other people who are around about us. And so we often find one of the ways that we come to this late discovery or diagnosis of being neurodivergent is because we just can't do what we used to be able to do anymore. And that leads us to want to seek out answers. And part of that can be finding that we are in burnout. But oftentimes you're not necessarily aware of what burnout is or what autistic burnout can look like. So I've created a little freebie for people to have a look at to see if they identify with any of these different things that are in there. We've got five hidden signs of things that could be happening or things you could be experiencing in your life that are actually pointing towards you being in burnout, and you might not know it. And there's also a few hints and tips in there, really small and bite size, because when you're in burnout, the last thing you need is a whole big long list of instructions of ways that you should be living your life to get out of burnout.
Oh, great, thanks very much.
Exactly. So it's a short little PDF download that's got some information about what some of the symptoms of burnout might be that you might not realise are symptoms of burnout, and a few quick little short tips and activities that you can do to try and start to bring yourself out of that burnout a little bit. Just give yourself a bit of headspace, essentially, to feel better.
Those kind of like proper game changing, like quick hacks are the things that will get you through, I think. I think it's so important that we have the conversations about what burnout looks like. And we're not going to give away the crown jewels. Go and get Jenny's freebie. But I think we think that burnout means, and it can mean lying in bed for 5 weeks. Like it has meant that for me before. But actually, that's the easy burnout to spot because you completely stop functioning. But there's bits that like that rolling cycle of burnout that a lot of us are in, where we're never really out of it. And we're also just on the edge of it. And then one meltdown throws us off completely, or one, late night ruins the weekend, so it's knowing it's that, isn't it? Am I right?
You're exactly right. Yeah, that's one of the points that we talk about in there, is that sort of being more emotionally volatile and having sort of more regular meltdowns than normal can be one of the signs that your nervous system is just overwrought. There's the idea of, I saw the idea of having capacity, or how much capacity you've got or how rested you are equals how resilient you can be. And I think that is really true for those of us who are neurodivergent. When I am rested and not in burnout, I am far more able to cope with the world round about me than if I am in active burnout or I'm teetering on the edge. So there's a few little trigger warning signs in there that separately you might just think, oh, well, I'm just a bit tired or I'm just a bit this. But when you start to piece them all together and you think, oh, wait, I'm ticking a few of those boxes, actually, it could be a bit of a clue that you're actually in or heading straight down the cliff side of burnout.
Yeah. And I think those things are really helpful to share with loved ones as well. Like sometimes the people around you can spot those things. Really interesting. One of the things for me, when I know that I'm really dysregulated and that I'm like on the verge of a full-blown crash, is my phone use really increases because I use my phone to regulate. So it's something I've not just spotted. I have a phone addiction. I make no secret of it. I've just swapped out booze for my phone. But it's slightly less unhealthy, some would say. But yeah, since getting sober, I lean into my phone addiction when I'm dysregulated. But I need the people around me, like particularly my son, to go, Mum, you've been on your phone for 8 hours and you've not looked up. Otherwise, I don't realise. So it's helpful, I think, to share some of those things with the people around you so they can kind of be your barometer for these are my signs of burnout. And also, one of the things that I think is really interesting with burnout is sometimes not being burnt out and being on your way to burnout from the outside looks exactly the same if we're maskers. So helpful to have those conversations with the people around you. So I'm so pleased you've made this like resource because I think it's going to be so helpful to people.
Thank you.
So we're going to point people at you, like, go find Jenny. Go find Jenny at her website, id'd.me.
Yeah.
I will make sure that she's tagged in the places where this is as well, so you can find her. If you're watching this in my Facebook group, she's tagged in the description. If you're watching this in the Marble Run, search for Jenny Lucas, Autistically Me, Autistically Me. And if you can't find her, tag me wherever you are and I will point you at her. Go and get her freebie, because I think it's going to be so helpful to so many people. And then when your book comes out in October, will you come and talk to us about the book? I'd love that if you'd be up for
I would
that.
absolutely love to come and talk to you about the book. I have no idea what it's even going to be called or what the cover is going to look like yet. So I am looking forward to being able to share that with you when it is ready.
You have time. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, it's great.
Like writing a book is like 90% thinking about it, talking about it, worrying about it, and 10% actually writing it. So like
we're 2/3 of the way done. I'm being a little bit, we're nearly there in terms of the actual words on a page. It's coming together.
Exciting. Well, we'll have you back is it October the book's coming out?
ADHD Awareness Month. I managed to get it in there. So yeah, I will. 28th of October will be release day.
Great, just in time for Halloween. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll get you back. But people watching, please let us know that you're going to go and find Jenny. Please let us know if you're watching on replay that you're going to go and find Jenny, and go and find Jenny's podcast, which a reminder is called Autism, ADHD, and Us 3, written out like the word 3 podcast. And I'm going to go and ask Jenny if she'll come and have me as a guest as well. So no pressure, but I've asked you on screen. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the work that you do. Like, I think it's so important, and I'm really pleased that you're doing it, because, I am probably, and I think a lot of my people are, we're your ideal client, right? And there's so much need for this, because we see so many ADHD women falling off that cliff. Sometimes after they've got all their stuff sorted out for their kids, and then the wheels come off spectacularly. So I'm so pleased that you're doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the time and the space to come and talk about it. Hopefully what I do will be able to support loads and loads of people.
I'm certain. Stay with me. We'll hang out in the green room. But for those watching live, thank you for joining us. Do share this on your socials and let us know what you thought when you're watching on replay. And I will see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.